In 1987, former Congressman Michael Harrington invited Senator Paul Tsongas to come to Salem to talk to members of the business community. Senator Tsongas had initiated the Lowell Plan in his hometown to reinvigorate economic growth. So let's go to Hotel Hawthorne now, where in August of 1987, this now famous meeting took place, and talked to Congressman Harrington, as well as to former retired president of Salem State University, Dr. Nancy Harrington, who was also present at that first meeting. Mr. Harrington, why did you think that would be a good thing for Salem? What was your goal when you did that?
I had watched Paul Tsongas' grim determination to do whatever he could to rebuild or rehabilitate his city of birth, Lowell. Among the initiatives was the creation of the public-private partnership, and that's what it was designed to try to do. Look at larger initiatives.
I vividly remember Paul Tsongas talking at that meeting, and I was really impressed with what he had to say. At the college, I had the opportunity, and I was very interested in moving the college into the city and making sure that the city and college relationships were very tight. And this seemed just a natural for us, and we provided an office, and that fledgling enterprise grew.
I think the biggest thing it did was, for the first year, there was really no overhead, so to speak. So all of the funding that you got from the new members went into putting together a master plan, working on the expansion of the National Park Service and the renovation of the Polish Club. So that was very exciting. But another thing I'm very impressed with is that when you became president of the college, and actually from the day you became president till the day of your retirement, you went to all the executive committee meetings and you stayed engaged. What was the partnership doing that made you stay so engaged?
The city was on the move. I was really interested, and we worked on it for quite a while, getting the nonprofits in the city to be part of the solution to the problem. So the Peabody Essex and the North Shore Medical Center and Salem State University. Getting them to buy into the concept of working together and solving our problems.
We sat down with Stan Lukowski, the first president of the Salem Partnership, and Tom Leonard, the first vice president, as well as with David Kaiser of the National Park Service, at St. Joseph's Polish Club, the site of the Salem Partnership's first major venture and first success story. Stan, you were the first president of the Salem Partnership. Whatever possessed you to take on that added responsibility with this fledgling new organization?
It was kind of our responsibility. If the city of Salem did well, the bank would do well. And so I got involved, and then I got elected president. And I think we got a number of things accomplished over the next few years.
Why did you pick this project?
It was a piece of property that was going to be sold. It was so close to what was going on at the Maritime project that we wanted to preserve the piece of property.
And Tom, the National Park Service has been involved with the Salem Partnership from the beginning. You were the first vice president. What did you think about this first project and the collaboration?
Well, I think the first reason we chose the Park Service was because at the time we thought that was our best avenue to raise some money to bring into the city of Salem. And we wanted to make sure that the Park Service was the beneficiary of everything that went on.
It was Tom and a few people with him who recognized that tourism was a very major attraction for the city of Salem. And by building out the Park Service facility here, that would be an added asset to continue to attract people to the city. So it was a logical first step.
David, I know that one of the things I think is very exciting about this project is that they also maintain the historic component. And for example, the front of the building still has a lot of the history of the Polish immigrant community in Salem, which is so important part of our history. And I'm wondering if you want to say a few words about that, and also how the building is used today.
Acquired the building in 1988. It was not in real good shape. We put a lot of money into it, from starting with a new roof, repaired the windows. We opened it up to be a storefront again, back to its original appearance. Once we restored the building, we used this space that we're sitting in as an education center and as a multi-use space for activities, be they park service or other community activities. It's a very busy building, and it's helped immensely to maintain all the other activities within the park.
One of the things that fascinates me even today is the vision that the founding fathers had to work on just major economic development projects.
We got every institution, we got the government, we got the business community, the college, and the hospital, and the newspaper, all to come together with very senior people who could make decisions and get projects done. Our vision was to try to do something that would produce long-term benefits for the city of Salem.
And Tom, I mentioned that you were the first vice president, but you served as president for 2 years, you were chairman for 5 years. You still sit on the executive board of the Salem Partnership as chairman emeritus. One of the things that came out of the organization, which again I think is a principle and a vision that has been very important, is in the case with Main Streets and with the Essex National Heritage Commission, they began in the partnership and they were spun off to grow themselves.
It would not have happened without the support of the Salem Partnership. The partnership was incredibly instrumental because they provided us with the help of the executive director of the Salem Partnership, who helped form the heritage area. Ultimately, that spun off and became a standalone organization on its own, but it would not have survived without the early impetus that the partnership provided. It truly was one of the first public-private partnerships anywhere in this region.
In 1994, the Visitor Center, a major initiative for the Salem Partnership, opened in Salem. Let's go to the center now and listen to Congressman John Tierney and Superintendent Michael Quijano West discuss with Chairman George Atkins the role of the federal government played in this initiative and the importance of this effort to the National Park Service.
We're standing here in what was the Salem Armory at one time and was destroyed by fire, subsequently rebuilt in the 90s into the National Maritime Sites Visitors Center, and was at the time a major initiative of the partnership. John, maybe you can talk a little bit about how federal funds during your 14 years in Congress have funded a number of projects in Salem.
This was a vision of Senator Kennedy, who worked very well. As you said, Nick Marvulis had some work on Peter Torkelson, made sure that it didn't stop during his tenure there as well. I had the good fortune of coming in as this was beginning to be funded. And we were able to get the resources needed for every year since then in order to have the whole enterprise continue on. But the partnerships played a big role, as you know. This facility is one of the things that the resources went through. The Friendship has been a great public-private partnership where significant resources came in on the public side, but huge resources and effort came in on the private side. The federal resources, when they work in conjunction with the public sector and with a community like Salem that has good leadership, and not just through the partnership, but through the elected officials as well, and community support, really puts an underpinning to move forward on that, because we have to invest in the public square.
Michael, maybe you can talk a little bit about how the Visitors Center works in conjunction with the Maritime Site and how many people pass through here in the course of a year. Large numbers, I know.
Certainly. We have about 350,000 visitors that come through our doors, and we serve the entire region and all the communities by giving information so that the visitors can make the most of their stay while they're in the Salem and Essex County area.
And do you see the benefit for the entire site of having this Visitors Center located here?
Oh, absolutely. We're very appreciative of all the efforts of the Senator and the Congressman, and this facility, as you can see, is beautiful. Everybody who comes through here is very happy with it. We have a film, we can give information, we have a bookstore, there's exhibits, we have various things that we can do here. We've had events, and it serves the community well, and as the Congressman said, this is very important to the business and the community at large, and we're really happy to be a part of it.
Well, it's a good example of the name of our organization, Partnership.
As we all know, Senator Ted Kennedy played a major role in many of the Salem Partnership initiatives over the past 25 years, but none greater than bringing friendship to Salem. Mrs. Kennedy graciously consented to come to Salem and to discuss this with us. With me today to discuss the tall ship coming to Salem is Mrs. Edward Kennedy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
You know, Mrs. Kennedy, this is an incredible story. We had a vision here, the Salem Partnership, the city, the National Park Service, to bring an 18th century tall ship into our harbor. And the man who did it, without any question, was Senator Ted Kennedy. Where did he get the vision? What inspired him for this project?
He talked to me about how he went to Senator Byrd and he said, We're always worried about the teaching of history. We're always worried about having young people engaged. This is what the school children want. This is about our history. We need the funding for this. And he had Senator Byrd as engaged with the maritime history of Salem as he was. It was so exciting. And really, I'd say the children did it.
But the day came when we commissioned Friendship.
I remember it so well. We sailed in on Maya, Teddy's old wooden schooner, in a parade of ships with Friendship. I remember representatives of the partnership being there. I think we were in the front of the customs house,
That's
maybe,
right.
and
That's
we had a
right.
terrific program there. And I can remember Teddy just saying, "Don't you love this place? It's such a beautiful place." And so often people just think of Salem as the witch trials, which of course is an interesting and exciting piece of history, and we've all been to the museum here. But there's so much additional rich history, the maritime history of this place, and he was so excited about that.
Absolutely. And he had such vision because this was really an economic development issue as well. But there were other things that the senator did too. The Essex National Heritage Commission, which grew out of the Salem Partnership, the wonderful Visitors Center, all of these incredible things that he did. You must be so proud of what he's done in this city.
I am proud of what he's done in this city, but really I think it's the people of Salem, and I think it's the Salem Partnership. It's this public-private model. Everyone being involved in loving their community and nurturing their community and watching their community grow. I think it's a role model.
The Salem Harbor Plan and the Salem Ferry are two important segments of what many partnership members call Ports and Ports, two major initiatives of the partnership for many, many years. Let's meet with Fred Atkins, chair of the Salem Harbor Plan, and Russ Vickers, a past president and past chair of the Salem Partnership, whose passion is the renovation of Salem Harbor. We met with them down on Blaney Street with Kimberly Driscoll, mayor of Salem, who of course brought the ferry to Salem. So let's go down there and talk about Nathaniel Bowditch, the Salem Ferry. Fred, the Harbor Plan is really the key in terms of this whole project and what we are working from. Could you explain what the Harbor Plan is?
The Harbor Plan is really a multifaceted plan to revitalize Salem Harbor. It's been accepted by the state of Massachusetts with lots of future plans of maybe even developing our harbor islands.
Yes, and hopefully a harbor walk. And certainly this site here is an important part of it, and the site that the city is focusing on now.
Yes, we've started the harbor walk, and hopefully that will continue. Of course, the Salem Ferry here is a perfect example of the vision of the harbor plan, which really started back in the 90s.
Russ Vickers is a past president and chairman emeritus of the Salem Partnership. And Russ, I know that you have a real vision for this site. Could you tell us a little bit about that? What do you see in the future here?
Well, one of the things that we thought of originally is we wanted to restore the active and dynamic harbor to what it was many years ago. One of our guiding visions was that this was going to be an attractive place where neighbors and residents could come down and enjoy the waterfront and see some of these unique ships that are going to be staying here.
Kim Driscoll is the mayor of Salem. She was inaugurated in January 2006. And in February 2006, even though she had an incredible fiscal deficit, she went into the city council and asked them to buy a boat. Whatever possessed you?
Well, beyond inheriting some debt and some tough fiscal situations, we also inherited a wonderful waterfront, and buying the ferry gave us an opportunity to revitalize our waterfront and really use that as a catalyst to revitalize our economy. Connected with our tourism and our hospitality industry, the ferry's been a marvelous success.
But this site has changed drastically since you brought that ferry. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, as I said, the ferry was the catalyst. So we had a boat here and we had a temporary pier and not much else. It was pretty much a dirt lot that we didn't own. You know, fast forward several years, we've been able to purchase the property. We've made some improvements down here, so now this looks like a place where you'd actually want to land. Makes a great entryway into Salem, and we've got plans to even liven up beyond just having a ferry on our waterfront, have cruise opportunities, cruise ports, a real working waterfront that ties in closely with our tourism and hospitality industry. It's great to have the partnership. It wouldn't have been possible without really being able to pull together our institutional leaders, municipal leaders, to work with our state officials to advocate for this funding, but for the effort of having all of us working together, it certainly wouldn't look like it does today.
as I said, courts and ports. Let's join Joe Correnti, President and Chairman of the Salem Partnership, during the final phase of this important building of our new courthouse in Salem. And State Representative John Keenan, a key advocate for this initiative, as they take us through this fabulous new facility.
Well, isn't this a spectacular new building, Joe? 11 new courtrooms, 195,000 square feet, on time and on budget.
The history of this is amazing, going back into the early 1990s with the court facilities project and the work that went in. It's been an incredible effort by all involved.
And certainly the namesake of the courthouse itself, J. Michael Ruane Judicial Center. A lot of this couldn't have happened without the efforts he put in early in his career and actually over the span of his almost 30-year career. It's been quite a team effort, and the partnership, indeed.
Thank you. We're really proud of the partnership's role in all of this. It's been an effort led by all of our past chairmen, Annie Harris, and of course Patricia Zato, who's shepherded this project for the partnership the last 8 or 9 years.
A new project for the partnership is the Essex Street Pedestrian Mall. Let's stroll the mall with Bill Tinty, a longtime supporter of the Salem Partnership and chair of the Salem Redevelopment Authority when the mall was created. And let's talk to Mayor Kimberly Driscoll and hear about her vision for the mall. Bill, why the mall?
The pedestrianization of cities was a critical part of their growth and the livability of communities. But this concept, from the standpoint of the interweaving of pedestrian areas within the downtown, became a central point in the design of the urban renewal project.
Mayor Driscoll decided that maybe we needed to look at this mall, and we had some public meetings, and they were well attended. The majority definitely wanted to keep the mall, but they all agreed that it's a little tired. And so Mayor Driscoll, what is your vision now? What do you hope to do on this mall?
So we had some great showings from the public in terms of trying to understand what this mall really means to the community and also how best we could improve it. It's been 30 years, the hardscapes need some repairs. So going forward, we still have that great living room space, the place you can meander, but allow for flexibility so it gets better use. So trying to find some way to make it flexible, yet revitalize it during those downtimes is a big challenge, but something we think we can accomplish.
I know that we're looking at some performance space, we're looking at doing some policy and procedures for public art and putting more public art here. And we're collaborating not only with the city, the Salem Partnership, but with the Peabody Essex Museum. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, with the three of us working together, that we will make this happen and this pedestrian mall will become something we're all very, very proud of. The Salem Partnership has had 5 executive directors in its 25 years. The longest serving, and by far the most successful, is Annie Harris. Let's talk to Annie and hear her thoughts 25 years later. Annie, during your tenure, you did extraordinary things. You renovated the Polish Club, built the Visitors Center, brought friendship to Salem, all huge successes. But I think during your tenure, you started initiatives that are still going now because, as you know, the partnership works on long-term economic development issues. And some of the things are not as easily accessible or seen by the people, but there are many things that you worked on in your 10 years that I'd like you to talk about today.
Well, we did work on a lot of projects. We're so delighted to see how many of them have really reached fruition, or you can see them. We worked a lot on transportation. I'm not sure those are so obvious, but some are, like the Salem Ferry pilot project we did in the late 1990s. And that's, of course, become a regular feature of Salem, that you can get to Boston by ferry. Under the partnership in the 1990s, we also put a lot of attention on the harbor. And I think you can see that with Friendship, obviously, and with the ferry. But we sort of discovered that Salem was one of the 5 deep water ports of Massachusetts.
I think the important point is that what you did was you got Salem declared one of the 5 major ports. That was no easy task.
Yes, we were really delighted with that.
I think another very important point is that you worked so hard on the concept of tourism in Salem, and the visitor center, I think, turned that around. You did a lot of things in terms of that we don't think of today.
Well, we're very pleased with the visitor center, but I think tourism's grown exponentially since the mid-1990s, partly because of the visitor center, but one of the things that we thought was a very important priority was to make Salem more than witches. The witches are important, but we really wanted the maritime history exemplified by the National Park Service, but also our architecture to be much more obvious. So I'm really pleased that the tourism season in Salem is much longer now, much more robust.
And thank you for all you did.
Oh, well, thank you. That took a lot of people. There's a lot of people involved in this.
The partnership has worked very successfully with city, state, and federal officials over the past 25 years. But only one has been with us since the beginning, and that one has been our strongest advocate. And for that, we are most grateful to Senator Fred Berry. Let's talk to Fred. Fred, you worked with a lot of projects with us, and we're most grateful. What are the ones that come to mind when you think about the partnership in Salem and our relationship?
God, there is so many. It's hard to prioritize, you know. And so I have seen a lot. I've seen a lot of great leadership that a lot of it came, you know, and I was always I always felt like I was one of the pillars.
You are a pillar.
Because you know, I had a frame of reference that many didn't have. But the idea of the partnership was a brilliant idea, and I think it sprung Salem into many, many successes as a community that they never would have had. I mean, you know, because together they showed great vision. It wasn't, because there was so many involved, it wasn't one vision, it was a lot of visions.
What about the courthouse, though, Fred?
The courthouse, God, I'm sure there's many people out there that are pinching themselves saying, we really didn't think it was going to be. And I'm very proud of it. I mean, it's because buildings like that are there forever. And what was good, like the partnership role, they coalesced a feeling that the lawyers, the economics, you know, this is the economic stream to Salem. This is the downtown to Salem. Yeah. Many courthouses that were going up throughout the state had different parties, different goals, and in Salem, through the partnership, we presented a unified front.
You arranged for a grant for the Salem Partnership in 2006, and we ran the first statewide conference on the creative economy at the Peabody Essex Museum.
Right.
And out of that came a big study on the effect the creative economy has on the state, an action plan, the first Commonwealth Creative Economy Industry Director in the state and in the country, a Creative Economy Council, and you did it all, Fred Berry.
Thank you.
You started the ball, you believed in something that nobody else really believed in, and for that, the partnership is most grateful. And what about, I could go on forever, what about the ferry and the cruise ships that are going to come and the garage we're going to build and all wonderful things?
You know, you have to step back to the creative economy. The city of Salem, 100 years ago, was the center of creative economy.
That's true.
They're both to go back and forth to China,
yep.
creating a markets that no one else had.
That's true.
And here we are, we're duplicating the same things. You're right, we're very proud of it.
It takes vision, it takes innovation.
You know, and I always had the rapport with the membership that they would come to me, if there'd be a problem. I was always open to any new thoughts.
You did a great job, Fred, and for that we're most grateful. And here we are in 2012, talking to Sumner Jones, the present president of the Salem Partnership, and Dr. Patricia Meservey, the incoming president, as we look at the present and talk about the future. Sumner, you have the history. You also have been the president for the last 2 years. How about give us some comments about both of those aspects?
You know, I think it's been an incredibly important organization in Salem, starting with the restoration of the Polish Club, which I think is underappreciated. In the partnership, that was really the first major project in conjunction with the National Park Service. And then going on from there to things like the restoration and reuse of the drill shed at the Armory, and its use now as the visitor center for the National Park Service, which is so important to the city. The construction of the Friendship, which really gives the city a nexus to talk about an extremely important element of its history, the mercantile trade and the role that Salem played in the economic development. So I've been very proud to be part of all of that. I think it's been an amazing history. And of course, most currently and most significantly is the completion of the new Judicial Center downtown. And along with it comes the preservation and amazing reuse of the First Baptist Church. And to me, it illustrates a unique capability of the partnership. That's quite a legacy to leave.
Now we have with us Patricia Meservey, who Dr. Meservey is the 13th president of Salem State University. I'm sure you have, because I know you, some ideas about what you want to do in the next 2 years with the Salem Partnership, and maybe you could share those with us.
It is truly a very special organization, and as Sumner has just reviewed, the accomplishments of the partnership, I think, are quite remarkable, and I'm very honored to have the opportunity to work with the people who have built the partnership and looking towards its future. I could probably start by picking up from the courthouse development, the Judicial Center. We now have a vacated building with the Superior Court and the opportunity for transformation at the County Commissioner's Court as well, and the opportunity to look at how that can add to the vitality of downtown Salem, and I think that will be an important aspect for the partnership. Continuing the work on the MBTA parking garage, again, an essential aspect, particularly for the residents of Salem, and I see that as one that will improve the quality of life. The people who park there are indeed our city residents, and having the convenience of more readily available parking, more comfortable waiting time to board the train into Boston will be quite important. And continuing to look at our development of the creative economy. That has been such a core element for Salem and the cities around Salem, really for all of the North Shore, looking at the opportunities that we have there to advance the development of our city is quite important. So those are all elements that the partnership, the City of Salem, and I would add the university, wants to very much be part of and seeing how we can move forward in the future.
This has been a mere snapshot of what this organization of volunteers has been able to accomplish over the past 25 years. It's impossible to be able to show you all the people who have contributed and all that has been accomplished. But we hope that by showing you this short documentary that you will appreciate all the efforts that have been made by so many, and that you will continue to support this wonderful organization for the next 25 years. Thank you for watching and listening.